Hey everyone, this is PAVLINA from PAVLINA'S Kids Place. I'm on location with author and PBS star Charlie Carlson. Hello.
Hi, good to be on your show.
Yes, it's nice to have you. We met yesterday at the Mardi Gras Pet Parade in New Smyrna Beach with your famous co-star, Miss Scarlet. She's a really sweet boxer who was rescued from the backyard by two ladies.
That's right, and she was tied in the backyard as a puppy, and she was going without food or water, and they rescued her and brought her to me, and I had a very large boxer at that time. His name was Bubba, and he weighed about 110 pounds.
Wow.
So we took Miss Scarlet in, and she's been with me for 7 years now.
That's good, okay. And you've talked about adopting a pet rather than buying one, so that's really important to you and Miss Scarlet?
Yeah, I think it's very important that with all the animals that need homes, why go out and buy one when we can give a home to an animal that's in a shelter?
Yes.
And of course, then that makes space for other animals that are going into the shelter. So I think it's very important that we concentrate on trying to give animals homes that need homes.
Yes, and on my radio show, I usually, at the end, I always say, ask your parents to make sure you adopt an animal instead of buying one, and make sure you spay and neuter them also.
And I fully agree with that, and I think that there's so many wonderful animals out there, both cats, dogs, and even other types of animals that need homes that are in these sanctuaries and shelters, and people need to go out and check them out.
Yes, and I also I used to go to city council meetings, and I would ask for mandatory spay and neutering too. So.
Oh yeah, very important,
yes.
Because without that we'll have so many feral animals running around and little kittens and little puppies out there that no telling what will happen to them. So it's very important that we spay or neuter pets, and that helps control the whole situation.
Yes, okay. And you've written a dozen books on Florida and over 200 magazines and newspaper articles about Florida. You've done, and that's really cool. What the book called Weird Florida? Did you always like writing, and did you always want to be a writer?
Well, yes, I'm an artist, and writing is a lot like being an artist. It's a form of creating, so I like that, and I actually started writing history books first because I have a degree in history.
Okay.
So I'm fascinated with Florida history. I'm a 10th generation Floridian, so my family history is tied to Florida history. So that inspired me to write history books, but I also like weird and unusual and strange things. So I like writing about that, and you know what? People will buy more books about weird and unusual things than they will about history.
Yes. Okay, good. And now you have a PBS show called Weird Florida, Roads Less Traveled. What do you and Miss Scarlet like best about filming the show?
Well, we like traveling and meeting the people out there, and we also like visiting these weird and unusual places. And you know, when you think about Florida, you think about theme parks and beaches.
Yes.
And there's a lot more to Florida than theme parks and beaches. And so by doing a show like Weird Florida, it gives people an idea, hey, and maybe there's a way to see some things without spending a lot of money and go visit some of these strange places. And most of the places that are in the show, you can actually go and see for free. There's no cost. And even the ones that might cost some money, we're talking about only a few dollars compared to the enormous amounts that you would spend going to a theme park.
Yeah.
So we like delivering that to the people, giving them some ideas on things they can do. And we like traveling. I think we traveled something like 1,500 miles doing the show, and seeing the weird places out there that's off the beaten path.
Yes, okay, that's good. And what's probably the weirdest thing you've seen so far?
I knew you was going to ask that. Everybody always asks that. And that is so difficult for me to say because I've seen so much weird and wacky stuff out there. I guess I like the strange legends, you know, like the skunk ape, which is Florida's answer to the Bigfoot creature. and people who claim to see this big hairy ape man that comes out of the Everglades or the Ocala National Forest sometimes, you know, and it makes you wonder, well, are these people really seeing something? Is there something living out there that we don't know about?
Yes.
And I think that the stories about the skunk ape they're intriguing, they're fascinating, and I'm curious as to what are these people seeing.
Yeah.
So I would rate the skunk ape as the most fun story out there, and the mystery as to whether or not we do have a unknown primate wandering around our wildernesses. And of course, I get to thinking about that sometimes when I'm out in the woods by myself too.
Yes.
Can scare you, you know.
And I thought the toad story was really weird. What has happened?
Oh, the toad invasion of Longwood, Florida, yeah. And that's a scientific thing. See, a lot of these stories I write about, even though they're weird, there's a scientific basis for it. And these toads actually came out of the ground. They were like in a state of suspended animation, and all of a sudden they popped up when it rained, and they were all over the place.
Yes.
And some of these weird things that happen, people say, oh, that can't happen, but it does happen, such as what they call sky falls. That's where fish or toads or frogs fall out of the sky. And it really does happen. What happens is that the eggs get evaporated up and they hatch at the upper atmosphere, and so when it rains little fish or little frogs.
Yeah.
So there's really nothing supernatural about it. It's a scientific fact. But it's weird when it happens. So the same thing with the toad invasion of Longwood, is that there was nothing supernatural about it, but it was weird. And it hasn't happened since.
Yes, that one definitely caught my eye because I
like
like
one?
toads, yes.
Well, I think you're the only one that ever thought that they liked that story, but
Yes.
Glad you liked it.
Yes. And what do you and Miss Scarlet have now?
Well, I am the co-publisher of Mysteries Magazine, and we do a lot of things for Ripley's Believe It or Not museums. And we plan to go back out and do a series of the Weird Florida Roads Less Traveled show for PBS. And of course the show now has gone national, so even up in Alaska, on Alaska PBS, they're seeing the show. So I'm sure Miss Scarlet's got some huskies up there watching her.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you for talking to me.
It's been a great time talking to you.